Welcome to the Kindred Journey Podcast, the podcast where women share their experiences of stepping into courage when comfort is no longer an option. This is the podcast for connecting in community with women who have been shaped by the liberating to challenging seasons that life endures. I am your host, Lesley. I am a wife, mother, daughter, sister, and friend. I too have experienced these seasons in life, and I want you to know that you are surrounded by a community of courageous, real women here for you. I can't wait to connect, so grab your favorite beverage and join me on this kindred journey. Well, hello, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day, whatever time of day you're listening to this. I am currently recording on Sunday, which is a lot of things, I guess. It is a new moon. And it is daylight savings time, spring forward. So not sure how everybody feels about that. But yeah, so it is been a hot minute. I like to normally get podcast episodes out on Thursdays, but with that being said, I was terribly sick and actually didn't have a voice. So a few people reached out to me and wanted or requested that I do an update to my previous episode that I posted last Thursday, Finding Courage Through the Waiting. And we are here about 41 weeks and 4 days. Still waiting. If you didn't listen to that episode, go check it out. It was ultimately about finding courage through the waiting and whatever that looks like through different seasons. And this current season that I'm in is one of a waiting that's out of my control. And so we're still waiting. We're actually almost 2 weeks past our due date with our second baby. And so there has been a lot of waiting lately. And I did want to come on here and kind of share another solo episode. And I did say last week I was going to recap on kind of, I think this is going to be the 10th episode that's launched. So I wanted to come on and kind of see the ties between all the episodes that I've already launched and then about this kind of same theme of finding courage through the waiting, how there's a tie to waiting or the process between all of these episodes that I actually kind of enjoyed going back through and recapping on and listening to. So I will dive into that here in a bit. But this has been an interesting ride. This baby and this labor, their upcoming labor experience. I feel like I appreciate all the calls and texts that people have been sending me with thinking of us and wondering what the updates are and what's been going on, and carrying the angst for me. I appreciate it because I feel like I actually got sick on our due date. So it was the day after I recorded the last episode that I was in bed, down for the count, lost my voice. I've been recovering since, and my son also got it. So we've been kind of trading this back and forth in the household. And so, yeah, it's been rough, and I apologize for my voice. I'm sure I'm going to have to mute myself and cough and still have some sniffles and ongoing residual stuff. So I apologize for that. But yeah, so here we are. And I think everything happens for a reason. So it was a blessing in disguise that this baby decided to be later than expected because of getting sick, and getting over this has been real rough. I think being pregnant, it just hit me harder, and it's been different. It's been interesting. So I've kind of been thinking about this topic still, this to be continued episode of the wilderness and waiting in the wilderness or through the wilderness. I think that recapping off of last week's episode was finding courage through the waiting, because waiting requires patience. Waiting requires releasing control. Waiting requires letting go of expectations. And so we've had a lot of family birthdays in the beginning of March. And I'm like, oh, maybe it'll be on this day. Maybe it'll be on this day. Next day. Nope. Okay, here we are, March 10th, and it still hasn't even, the baby hasn't been decided to show up yet. So who knows when this baby's gonna make its grand entrance into the world. I do feel like going into this preparation or the season of labor, I've definitely been slowing down. And I do feel like in this season of waiting that I've kind of pulled from this experience that there is a dance between surrender and control, not just with labor and delivery, but waiting, anticipation. Uh, my husband said to me this week, well, it's exhausting waiting and going to work every day, and but being on edge of, I don't know when this baby's going to show up, but I have to be available for at any moment, at any given time to be there. So I found that comment interesting, because here I am trying to let go of expectation or not be so wrapped up around the waiting and just kind of be at peace with what is. So I found that kind of interesting dynamic between the two of us. But anyways, so yeah, I just think that this is going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, because I personally feel like I'm in a pretty good space with the waiting. Again, with me getting sick, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't go into labor right now. I have no energy. I have no energy to be sick and recover and heal and rest and try and go into labor simultaneously. So I was very fortunate. Meanwhile, so many people were texting, like, any progress, any updates, any baby yet, any news, anything, please tell me. So many people have said, oh, I'm going crazy for you. I can't even imagine how you're feeling. And like I said, I feel like I've been pretty well at peace with this process and waiting. So thank you to everybody who's been holding the angst for me, because I really haven't. So um but yeah, so I can't believe that this is our 10th episode of the Kindred Journey podcast. It's been very enjoyable to have wonderful conversations and connections with women. Like I said, I kind of just wanted to recap and maybe tie together what some of these episodes have in common, where there were some kind of threads, especially what I'm talking about with the process and the courage and the waiting. But first, I kind of want to talk about time. Time seems to be an illusion in so many ways, because I guess I am one that doesn't normally have a lot of extra time. And I'm currently sitting on the opposite side of time that I normally have. And that goes to say with like this waiting period that I'm in, and having more time than I normally do, to because again, we're kind of just waiting for this baby to show up. So, but then I feel like once labor actually gets kicked into gear, time is going to seem like it's dragging on forever in a different way, versus compared to what it is now, where it just feels more like a Groundhog's Day. I did get a little bit of cabin fever feeling a couple weeks ago, or a couple days ago, and I was like, okay, the laundry's done, everything's done, but what are we waiting for? What's this baby waiting to show up for? So I was feeling a little antsy. It's been definitely a lot colder here. The weather kind of turned winter again, so it's but I didn't want to. I was like, okay, why are you feeling like this? I really broke it down, and I kind of let it get the best of me that day. But I feel like for the most part, I've been very present and very open to what is. And like I said, I think it's a good place to be. I'd like to be on this side of time more than the other side where I'm always running from, I have appointments booked or work deadlines that I'm up against or got to get my son to daycare, rush, rush, rush kind of a feeling. So being on this side of time is definitely interesting. And I've tapped into being curious with it and would like to operate from this space more often than I do. Again, and I think time being knowing I was sick and not being able to have the energy to truly to caregive for a newborn. I was like, I don't have the energy to go into labor. I don't have energy to take care of a baby and be up every few hours. So like I said, I've been enjoying the full night's rest lately and the naps and everything that has been coming with this process of waiting. So, but yeah, time is just so funny when it comes to waiting and the wilderness and courage. And sometimes you feel like you don't have enough time, and sometimes you feel like time is dragging on forever, depending on the circumstance and what you're in, what season you're in. Sometimes time is on your side and sometimes it's not. It feels like you don't have enough of it. But truly, it is an illusion because we all have the same 24 hours in the day. It's just how we all choose how to use it. So, with all that being said about time, I feel like with it being daylight savings time where we spring forward and lose an hour, today kind of just flew by as far as time went. So it's like, oh my gosh, where'd the time go? Where'd the day go? But it is interesting because spring is coming or it's trying to come, and having that extra hour of light at the end of the day is nice. But again, just time. It's funny how even losing that 1 hour um, can can feel like a lot more than just that hour. So, and then yeah, today being the new moon, I was like, okay, is baby coming today? All these new things, new moon, new time change, springing into spring. Um, but still no baby. So we're still waiting, and we are on the verge of again being almost 42 weeks this week. So we'll see what happens. So we're continuing to wait, continuing to be as patient as possible, and it has definitely given me plenty of opportunities to be present with my son and be enjoy the little moments with him, because I know once our second baby is here, he won't be our little baby anymore. He's going to be our little toddler. So trying to just embrace those moments and be present. My parents have been here for 2 weeks waiting, so I appreciate them being on standby, ready to roll at any time, hopefully here soon. So as that goes, there's really no new news with the waiting. Um, but I kind of went back and dug into the last few episodes that I have already posted, and there was kind of a tie or a sequence of comments from all the wonderful women that so graciously interviewed for the podcast. Um, there about a tie to waiting or a tie to the process of waiting or of courage or whatever season you're in. And I'll kind of like full circle with what I ended with last week. But my episode with Brooke, it was called The Messy Middle. That was one of the first episodes that I had launched. And we really talked about expanding your comfort zone. And it was such a great episode. She talked about leaving the corporate world because she felt like she was outsourcing her identity as a mom. And what a great episode that was to just kind of, she really talked about how you can, when you expand your comfort zone, you're growing. And then the next sequence of events that happens, you kind of already have expanded that comfort zone. So it grows even further. So I loved that episode. She said something that really struck a chord with this kind of waiting through the wilderness that I'm kind of experiencing right now is that you're going to have the full range of human emotions no matter what. So what does XYZ look for you? So what does happiness or success or presence, what does whatever that thing that you're kind of looking for look like to you? Because it looks different for everybody. And you're you're still going to have those range of human emotions. And I think that's something that we all love to gravitate towards love and happiness and joy and all the wonderful feel good feels. But we're also going to have frustration. Um, we're going to be discouraged. We're going to be fearful, mad, impatient. Those emotions come with life's experiences as well. So that was something that she said in her interview that I was like, oh, okay, like I'm going to have the full range of human emotions no matter what while I'm waiting. XYZ. That's my current. So I'm going to have cabin fever some days. I'm going to be good with it some days. I'm going to have these full range of emotions. So what does it look like for me and how I want this experience to play out? So I really liked what she had to say in that episode about that. And then my sister Heather, Homesteader Heather, talked about the fear of failure in her episode. And I thought that was such a great episode because she had a lot of great takeaways about the answer will always be no if you don't ask. Um, and she really learned a lot about herself, even though she was fearful of failing, quote unquote. But she did the experience anyways, and you can go back and listen to that episode if you haven't already caught it. And she did that anyways, and she came out learning so much more about herself. Even though it might have looked like a quote unquote failure on paper, she still, through that experience, gained so much knowledge about herself and who she is as a person. So it really wasn't a failure because she can take what she learned and move forward in life to the next endeavor, the next journey, the next challenge, whatever it might be. Um, but she said something that kind of struck me. As she said, looking back, that she learned so much about herself in the process. And if she wouldn't have put herself out there and tried, she wouldn't have learned the things about herself or the acceptance of what she was supposed to do, doors that closed, paths she took, how things kind of fell into place at the right time. So again, if we let from Brooke's episode, if we let the range of human emotions kind of take over for us, um, like fear, especially, or scarcity, and then that determines our ability to say yes to certain things or take these certain paths or harder challenges in life, that can really alter the outcome, and that can really change the way that it processes and how, like I said, it might look like a failure on paper, but the experience itself wasn't a failure. So to kind of tie those two episodes together on a pillar or a foundational level, I feel like those were two really great takeaways for being tied to like the waiting or in the process of something or having the courage to move forward through that process. I think those two two takeaways are really huge. In my episode with Pam Strain, knowing that I am loved, that was such a great episode too. She's one of my mentors and a dear friend of mine, and I look up to her in so many ways. And her conversation about knowing that she's loved and gaining the confidence in herself, knowing that she's loved, is has catapulted her into so many opportunities in her life that if she would have let fear get in the way, she probably would have said no to. Um, Something from my conversation with Pam that I took away was the fear of rejection and failure is worth the risk. She said that it has been an amazing privilege and honor to witness things in her life that she had not done, that if she would have not done, life would not be as rich. And I think that goes to show again, so many of us get caught up in the process of letting our emotions or letting our fears or the what ifs get in the way of what we're truly destined to do, or what's really truly calling to us, or what's in alignment with us. I think we let those things kind of, again, just get in the way and dictate what isn't truly in alignment for us. We let it control our lives. And I think these women showing up in these ways of authenticity and vulnerability and courage, I think shows what life experiences gave them, because they did show up in that way, and they did trust the process, and they did sit through the waiting of whatever experience that was, as uncomfortable as it probably was. Because again, I'll kind of recap on my episode from last week to here at the end, but I just think those were some beautiful, rich points and takeaways. My interview with Chelsea with Cultivating Pillars of Courage, Chelsea Barbine, she's a dear friend of mine that I have recently become kindred spirits with on this podcasting journey. And she talked about her pillars of courage through exiting the corporate world twice, and how she was able to build a business coming out of the corporate world and gaining that confidence. And she said that all of the experiences that she has had personally and professionally have supported and guided her to where she is today. And she is forever grateful, and she wouldn't change a thing, no matter how hard it was, no matter how discouraging it was. She wouldn't change a thing, because it's where she is today and it's where she's supposed to be. She just started her own business last year. She started a podcast, Cultivate with Chelsea, and she's helping postpartum women navigate that part of motherhood and that journey. And I think that's very beautiful. And she's following her dreams, she's following her passions. And if she wouldn't have had those experiences in the corporate world, and again, professional and personal life's experiences happen to her, she wouldn't have ended up where she is, or where she's supposed to be. Um, and I just think that's so beautiful. And I'm so proud of the journey that she's on, and what she's doing, I think is a very wonderful thing, as I've said multiple times on other episodes as well. So Christina Driscoll's interview was, our conversation, I should say, because it was, that all these are wonderful conversations. They're not even interviews. I love just getting wrapped up and talking to these women. But she talks about living life authentically. She kind of gave a backstory about her life, and she said that she made a lot of unconventional choices in her life, but they were the right and authentic decisions for her. And she said something I loved that she said is, if we aren't living authentically, we are never going to be happy. And I think that's something, again, I just mentioned at the beginning of going over these episodes, like, we let XYZ get in the way of what we really want to do or destined to do. And if we're not living authentically and truly ourselves, then we aren't going to be happy. If we're going to let fear determine an outcome, or getting in our own heads about how something's supposed to play out or going to play out. Or I think that is so dangerous because we can build these outcomes in our head and they're not, it's a false reality. It's not even real. And so I think to just truly live authentic and be yourself at the end of the day, that's all that matters. You can't make anybody else happy but yourself. And I think so many times we get wrapped up in, oh, what are they going to think? Or, oh, is this good enough? Or is this good, and belonging. We've talked about that on the podcast. And um, yeah, sure, you want to belong, but also like you also need to be authentically you and true to yourself as well. Because ultimately that's all you have control over at the end of the day. Um, so I really liked that from that episode. Um, my episode with Catherine Garland. She is an amazing mama and homesteader up in Canada, British Columbia. And she is so inspiring to me. I love what she's doing and, what her message is and what's truly calling to her, and talk about authentically in alignment. That's another great episode to go listen to. Some key advice she said that I loved, especially again, tying it back to courage through the waiting and through the process. She said, trust yourself and trust the process. You want to get there, but you are going to miss the beauty and growth in the process. There were many seasons where she missed the beauty in the moment because she was so fixated on the end result. And I think a lot of us get caught up, in the Z. We want to get from A to Z. We don't want to do the rest of the alphabet. We want to get that instant gratification. So I think um this is just such beautiful advice to be in the present moment and where you need to, you're right where you need to be. And it is what it is. And to try and not control or have the expectations of the outcome of the end result, because to embrace the process, because that's where the beauty happens. That's where the magic happens. That's where the growth happens. That's where you learn things that you never thought you'd learn. I just love that advice, and I'm trying to take that moving forward in my life with seasons and circumstances and waiting as well. I talked about my first son's birth story. I reshared that episode from my friend Chelsea's podcast. And then I kind of came on and recapped about finding courage through the waiting last week. And so I just kind of wanted this little circle again where the key takeaways that I have been learning through this process. Like I said, I feel pretty proud of myself, and I'm not anxiously like, why is this baby not here yet? And trying to control the situation like I probably would have, or I did with my first. I tried to control it, and look where, it got me. So, I guess from my experience, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. No waiting, no birth story, no courage is the same. It all looks different. It's all try it on for size, see what happens. Uh, and that's what I think is so fascinating too, is even trying to compare my son's birth or pregnancy leading up to labor to this baby's this story. It's completely different, and it's not even the same, even though they're siblings. So I think that that's such a beautiful thing to take with me moving forward, is that each journey that I'm going to be on, uh each endeavor, it's not like, even though it might be a similar circumstance or a similar experience, it's going to feel different, look different, because if I've already experienced that, I already have some familiarity with it, and it's going to feel different. I'm going to already have some of that courage some of that comfortability, some of that confidence in myself to get through this kind of situation that I didn't before. But yeah, so waiting, courage, every experience, it's a form of growth, and growth is not comfortable, unfortunately. But it's where, like I said, it's about the process. It's about where you learn about yourself and the things that you wouldn't know if you didn't try, kind of thing. So I think that to more embrace the process versus trying to control the process. And like I said in the beginning of this episode, like I feel like going into the like labor, just because that's what I'm waiting for right now, is such a it's such a dance of surrender and control. And okay, what do I have control over, and what do I need to surrender to? What do I have no control over, and why I don't have the energy or the capacity to give to that, because it's just going to be wasted energy. Um, but yeah, I think like I said, I'm pretty proud of myself. I feel like I've truly leaned in to embracing this process. It is what it is. And I'm excited to let you know how it all plays out. I feel like we're getting closer every day. Obviously, days are numbered at this point, but maybe we'll be here. It will be fine, whatever day that is. It's just a day, and I'm excited to, I'm excited for my son to meet their sibling, and I'm excited to see if it's a boy or a girl. We don't know that. So there's some anticipation around if it's a boy or if it's a girl. And my husband thinks it's a boy, and I think it's a girl. So who knows, but I'm just so excited to see the look on our son's face and it might not be dandy. He might want nothing to do with the baby. Who knows? I'm just excited to bring them together and to start our family of four. And I hope you all have enjoyed listening. Let me know if you like these kind of episodes where I kind of recap on on a combination of episodes, or like find an underlying theme or tie some things together. This is something I wanted to try on for size and see how it works. And so let me know. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you for, again, reaching out and being in our corner, waiting for this baby to show up, and continuing supporting me with this podcast journey. I'm very excited to see where it goes. Again, this is our 10th episode, so we're just very new to the game, and I hope by the time next time you hear my voice, I will be a little bit fully healed, hopefully. And again, thank you very much for just listening, and I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. And the next few episodes are going to be a little heavier, FYI, but they're going to be amazing. There's so many, hard stories to hear, but there is so much about hard seasons of courage that women are that have come on to share, and I'm forever grateful for the advice and the stories that they've given time to this podcast for, and I hope you guys can take away something as well. So again, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this kind of different episode. I really wanted to get on here, so sorry it's a few days late, but just like this baby, it is on Miller time, which is my nickname. I'm always late, and this baby is definitely late, and this episode's a few days late, but I'm getting it out there. I wanted to give you an update. So thanks again for listening, and have a great day.
Thank you for joining me and listening to the Kindred Journey Podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please consider taking the time to rate and review the podcast and share this episode with family and friends who you think might enjoy it. Your positive feedback helps me reach more courageous women like you. This is my passion project, so without you, I wouldn't be here doing this, and I deeply appreciate your support. Until next time.